Welcome back. Breakfast Central continues the last hour for us here, and the front pages takes center stage. Would have joining us, publisher in each newspaper, Ikechukwu Amaechi joins us this morning. Good morning to you, sir.
Good morning, Joe. How are you today?
Well, we're fine and we're doing good.
Good morning.
Good to have you.
Good morning.
As always, we're going to get started with the major newspapers. We've got Daily Independent. We also do have Daily Times and Guardian. Now, we will leave our phone lines open for those who'd like to call and join the conversation. But first, let's get started with the Daily Independent for today. And the very first headline that jumps at you there: we must act decisively now to secure lives. That statement there is from former Vice President Atiku, as well as the PDP and the Labour Party. Ask federal government states to stop offering condolences, offer solutions. People may be forced to defend themselves. There's more there, so my eyes there have gone sour. Joe, please help me.
Yeah. I mean, we're going to look at that. You said ask for the government to stop offering condolences, offer solutions. People may be forced to defend themselves. Tinubu to visit Benue, hold meetings with stakeholders. Inflation records sharpest annual decline in a year drops 22.9%. That's what it says. Pengerson kicks over non-inclusion of leaders who led strike. June 12. Honors. Pengerson has come out to say it's not fair. You're only giving people you call the freedom or democracy fighters. But what about those who led the
strike?
The strike. Benue killings, military to change strategy, according to the Chief of Defense Staff. Angry APC members accuse Wike's loyalists of hijacking party. Let's start off with the Benue killings. I think let's start off with the crisis in Benue. We've not heard your take on this issue. What's your take? I mean, it's a whole rounded scenario where you now have the governor coming out to speak, Chief of Defense Staff, the Inspector General of Police. The president also said he would adjust his schedule. It's busy, very busy schedule. In other words, do you think, this is my question to you before you go into the conversation. You've been a publisher for decades. You've written articles as well on some of these issues, and you've looked at how presidents speak. I'm sure you've analyzed many October 1st presidential speeches, State of the Nation addresses. Do you think that sentence was akin to what the expectations were, especially from Nigerians, saying you would adjust your schedule? What does it mirror in the true sense of what we're going through?
Very critical question.
Joe, you see, what can someone say on this issue that has not been said? If you remember, just last week, here, this issue came up, and I asked the question. I said, who has been arrested? Who is being tried for the killings in Plateau State about 2 or 3 months ago?
Yeah.
Look, we are all living in denial. You asking me about the president saying he's going to cancel his scheduled trip to Kaduna in order to visit Benue State on Wednesday. That's tomorrow. There's nothing about this president and his presidency that surprises me. And I've said so many times on this platform. Bola Tinubu is one man who, as president, has perfected the act of putting the wrong foot forward on every given occasion. He has done so again now. Now, let's go back to the Constitution. The fundamental objectives and directive principles of the 1999 Constitution which captures the freedoms of Nigerians and all that, the most fundamental freedom is the right to life and the right to human dignity. And the primary objective of government, as also captured in the 1999 Constitution, is the security and welfare of the citizens. It is as simple as that. Now, you wake up and over 200 citizens, Nigerians, are slaughtered. I don't want to use the word killed, because if you use killed, it
light.
It doesn't bring out the weight of the tragedy that has befallen our people. People are slaughtered in their sleep, burnt to death. And for several hours, the president could not comment. It only took
24 hours, more like.
It only took Pope Leo
Yes.
in Rome to address it in the morning, on
Sunday Mass.
before the president issued a statement through Bayo Onanoga. In any other country, that the massacre in Benue State over the weekend could have prompted a presidential address. The president could have woken up from sleep just as the news is breaking, and there will be a special broadcast giving orders as to what to do. But what did we see? The statement that was issued by Bayo Onanoga simply asked the people to go and reconcile and live in peace with their neighbors. Did that strike any destiny in you? That was the same statement Muhammadu Buhari made when leaders of Benue State met with him after similar killings, that they should live in peace with their neighbors. Who are you reconciling with? Now, this latest tragedy, from the reports we are getting there, about 7 families were completely wiped out. 7 families.
We even have one that has, he lost 20
of his family members.
There's a woman who lost the husband and 4 or 5 of the children.
Yeah.
So who are they reconciling with? This is genocide, staring us in the face, and a government, a president that swore to uphold the Constitution and to do right by everybody is telling aggrieved citizens that that we all live in a house with different rooms, and therefore we must live harmoniously. Who does that? Who does that? Who has been tried? Let me ask that question here again. Who has been arrested? By now, we would have seen people arrested in Benue State. Instead, people that came out to protest were tear gassed by the police. Those who did the killings are there. Now, there are hundreds of thousands of Benue people that are living in IDP camps. And some of these people have been in IDP camps for more than 6 years. And people are living in their ancestral homes. And we call ourselves a country. How?
Mr. Amaechi, I have to ask you, and just 2 questions. Number 1, given the incessant killings that Benue have seen dating back to Muhammadu Buhari's administration and now 2 years into President Tinubu's administration, should there be a call for an emergency, state of emergency on insecurity in the state, given how dire the situation has started? That's the first. And then the other part of the question is the body language that we've seen on the presidency. They have said that this is, I remember when he was saying the state governors, I think he was giving a speech on insecurity and said that state governors ought to, be proactive in the insecurity situations in their state. Somewhat trying to say that it is in the bulk of the work is in their court. Should it be named or pointing fingers or leaving the bulk of the work to their desk? Because clearly they can't handle it by themselves. Or should there be more concerted efforts by the presidency?
Does that make sense? This president has also perfected the art of passing buck.
Yeah.
We have only one president and commander-in-chief of the armed forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and that's the man whose name is Bola Tinubu. It is not Reverend Alia. So this idea of saying the governors, how? Does the National Security Advisor report to a governor? Does the Chief of Army Staff report to a governor? Does the Inspector General of Police report to a governor? They report to the president. He is the commander-in-chief. And there are no two commanders-in-chief in this country. Now, how do you justify the decision? You asked me the question whether a state of emergency
should have been declared by now.
Should have been declared. Does it not worry you that some people threw knockout in quotes in Port Harcourt and President Tinubu south magisterially in Asorok and say he cannot
in less than 24 hours
fold his arms and allow any part of this country go up in flames, and declared a state of emergency and did what is illegal, sacked an elected governor and imposed an unelected person who is there illegally up to today. And this same president is there, 200 people slaughtered
and counting,
and he is asking for reconciliation. Does it make sense? Look, Tinubu is only playing politics, and this is why I feel sad that politics trumps everything in this country. Why he cannot open his mouth and address the issue as he ought to is because he does not want to offend the people who are killing Nigerians.
Those are heavy allegations.
Yes. But that's the only explanation that any reasonable person can deduce. Why are we not calling out names? Who are doing these killings? Who are their sponsors? Are they spirits? If you are asking people to go and reconcile, it then means you know who the warring factions are. Why are you not calling out people? For crying out loud, look, even if, for the sake of argument, we agree that what is going on is reprisal like killings or whatever, only the state, and through a constitutional means, has the right to take the life of a citizen. And you must be tried. And the judges duly sentence you to death. You can't whimsically take away life. Now, people are killing, taking away lives of your citizens, and you cannot do anything. Where then is the state?
The state itself has always, Joe, I know the ball is in your court, so permit me to just
go ahead
with this question.
Go ahead.
I know that the Nigerian state itself has this repentant approach to terrorists. We saw that with Goodluck Jonathan's time, and we saw that it started with the militants, armed militants in the Niger Delta, and then he moved to Boko Haram, where, we pardon them, we rehabilitate them, reintegrate them back into the community. And now we're seeing this with the herders and the bandits as well, armed bandits, where they are repentant and they come back into the fold. Does that approach harm our system itself?
That politics of appeasement, and this is why I said, the only thing, the reason why Jonathan continued to appease until he was pushed out of office was also because he wanted to please people so that he can continue in office. And that is what is again happening now. All I'm saying is that the president has all the intelligence in Nigeria. They report to him. They know those who are behind this.
Right.
If the Nigerian state claims not to know those who are doing these killings in Benue State, then it has no reason to exist.
All right. Let's take a caller. We do have a caller who's called in. We have Salisu who's calling us. Salisu, good morning.
Good morning. How are you, my dear?
We're doing great.
Thank
How are you
you.
today?
Thank you so much.
Go ahead.
How are you? Oh, that's good. Well, honestly, the analyst has said it all. We have only one chief commander-in-chief in the country. This killing is unnecessary. I think if there is anybody that would be clear set of urgency in Nigeria, maybe we need that person now. The killing is too much. It's too much. How can you slaughter 200 people at once? Are we in a war with other nations or what?
And your TV is on, your television is on, so we're hearing the feedback. If you could turn it off and you still want to make comments, would give you a little room to do so. Can you go ahead? All right, anyway, let's go back. I'd like us to quickly touch on another newspaper, which of course still highlights the insecurity challenges we have. Let's go to the Daily Times this morning. Let's see what the Daily Times says. Insecurity. Tinubu postpones Kaduna trip, heads to Benue Wednesday to tackle ongoing crisis. That's what we see there. APC North Central Forum says Tinubu can choose anyone as VP. I'd like us to look at that in our conversation. Education tax, TET fund generates 1.24 trillion naira revenue in 5 years. Alleged defamation, judge rejects federal government prayer to order Natasha's arrest. We've been following that story as well. Atiku, Benue cannot bleed in silence, condemns unleashing of terror on protesters. No part of Abuja will be left behind in national development, according to President Bola Tinubu. I'd like us to focus on, let's leave the insecurity issue now a little, let it breathe. Let's go to the APC. I know you are aware.
Yeah, but
did I just say that word?
Yeah, but very quickly, we understand that we have a caller. John Paul is joining us. If I'm correct, John Paul is joining us live from Abia State, from Enugu. Forgive me, from Enugu State. John Paul, a very good morning to you. Good morning. Please go ahead with your submission this morning.
Yeah, I'm just listening to the short man there. And he said the whole thing the way it is. He's blunt, and I love the way he's calling names, though he has not mentioned specific names, but the way he's saying it, is that what's supposed to be? But I want to ask something. Why are we not sacking some people who are holding the security architecture of something? Because I believe that as a commander-in-chief, if you are CEO of a company, you should have the ability to hire and fire. If you hire a good person, you commend him for doing a good job. If the person you hire is not doing a good job, please release him from that job so that he will not hold the clog of the wheel of the nation moving. For goodness sake, we have intelligence community, we have NIA, we have DSS, the military, we have DMI. Then we have the military themselves. Are we saying that the country does not have intelligence of those people doing this thing? You know, it boils down in what the T.Y. Danjuma said, that we should all defend ourselves. You know what it means that T.Y. Danjuma has intelligence on what is happening, because he was former a chief of staff, a chief of army staff. And it only boils down on what the president DSS director said, that we all should defend ourselves. So what I have to say in my own opinion is that the Benue people, since the government is failing them, For goodness sake, the issue of Benue has started ever since, even before Obasanjo. People have been killed, have been dying. And all this is the land. Somebody wants to grab the land of Benue State. And the government is looking at it that way. Now it's escalating to the level where they want to take the whole of the state. And it's trickling down to every state of the nation. Now, if you look at this Nassau, it's going to Nassau down to Benue. Now it's going to Enugu. So maybe now go to State, Anambra. So no, it's South, and all this what is happening, and it's people. So that's my concern. People should be allowed to defend themselves if the government do not want to do it.
John Paul, I think he's said it all. But before we go back to the insecurity crisis in Benue State, we were talking about a summit that was held of the APC. Videos have been circulated. We also spoke to a member of the All Progressives Congress where he said that there are just few persons who he tagged to be
mischievous characters
and wanted to cause a fire, as it were. What do you make of the APC's stance, especially members of the party in the Northeast, where they said if there's no Shettima, then there's no voting for President Bola Tinubu?
Again, the people in government, they are living in denial. And this is a government that has perfected the art of propaganda. Every discerning Nigerian, if you have an idea of what is going on in government, will know that Vice President Shettima is an outsider. He's an outsider. He has been locked out of the government. And it will not be a surprise if Tinubu decides not to run with him in 2027. Let me come.
Right.
In 2027. And what they did in the Northeast is like flying the kite. You went there, and that's the zone
where the second in command hails from.
Of the vice president.
Right. I'm going to just put a bit of pin on it because I'm being informed we have another caller. Dennis from Edo is calling in. Dennis, good morning to you.
Yeah, good morning, Mother.
Good morning. If you can turn off your television completely so we can hear us instead of...
Good morning, Mother. Good morning to your colleague there and the guest. I think the guest you have on the table had spoken very, very eloquently and very clear to all Nigerians. Get to the point. You see, Madam, for the leaders we are having at the present time. Mahabli. Look, I want to make an example. Look at what happened in America. A mass shot, people dead. Just 3 senators, if I'm not, quote me if I'm wrong. Under 48 hours, he was caught. He was apprehended. Does it mean that we don't have intelligence in this country? A country of about 240 million is a shame. I'm sorry. We have to speak fast. My heart is bleeding. My heart is bleeding. The man who called from Enugu said it right. The president has right to hire and to fire. What is he doing with these dormant? I call them dormant. They are not active. If they cannot use kinetic, they can use other means to tackle this insecurity problem. How can 200 and something people die and the president will be in Asoro relaxing? We have to speed it fast. But they have money, they cannot. They don't have money to buy technology to solve this problem once and for all. But they have money to buy SUV. Madam, I'm sorry. It's good to let the cat out of the bag. I was in my office watching when our dear, I respect him, our able president came to Lagos for Salah. I counted the SUV, ranging to about 50 SUV of entourage. What is that for? What is that for? We should call it spade a spade. I want to use the opportunity to sympathize with the people of Benue. Yellow water, I don't know if I pronounce it very correctly. I sympathize with them.
Thank you.
Thank you for calling. Back to your summation of the APC.
As I was not saying, there is no Nigerian who has an idea of how this game is played that won't appreciate where APC is going. The president has no intention of running in 2027 with Shettima. So now they are being smart by half explaining that they are still in the primary stage and that the nomination that should go on now is the nomination of the presidential candidate whose responsibility it is to pick his vice president. But for crying out loud, this is not 2023. We've gone beyond that stage of 2023. We now have a ticket of the president and his vice.
Right.
So if they are going into the race in 2027 as a team, they should tell us. If the president does not want to go with Shettima, they should not tell us. But nobody should be surprised. Nobody should be surprised. Look, when we talk about President Bola Tinubu, it's not as if anybody has anything against him. But we are looking at a man who has no precedence. Bola Tinubu has the record, inelegant record, of running Lagos State for 8 years with 3 deputy governors.
I was going to point that out earlier when you asked me to pull.
With 3 deputy governors. Bokuna Akarele, who was his deputy from 1999 to 2003, he dropped her and went for Femi Pedro.
Yes.
Even the Femi Pedro that he picked himself, because if we say that Afenifere imposed
Pedro on him.
Akarele on him, he personally chose Pedro. He could not complete
for the remaining term
his second term with Pedro.
Yeah.
He had to force him to go, and there was an Ogunleye or so.
Yes.
His last vice governor.
Deputy governor, who was with him for only 13 days.
Yeah.
Just to make sure that Femi Pedro did not complete the term with him and enjoy the benefits of
a deputy
governor. That is the record of the man who is president today.
Right.
So anybody who is raising eyebrows or who pretends to be surprised is either living in denial or does not know the antecedents of President Bola Tinubu. It will be a surprise if he runs.
Because the argument that any critic will say that all of Nigeria's presidents since 1999 have always had this issue with their vice president. We saw that with Obasanjo, we saw that with the late Yar'Adua, we saw that, except for Goodluck, who was very leaning with his vice president, and we also saw that with Muhammadu Buhari. Now we're seeing this. They're going to argue that, it's all with the presidency, but I'm glad that you pointed out that this really is a Tinubu phenomenon.
Even that of Obasanjo and Atiku, of course, we know the president, but of course, the first 4 years, Atiku was
in tandem.
Atiku was in charge, at least of the economy. Now, Buhari and Osibanjo, despite everything, managed their relationship well.
Right.
Shettima has been shut out completely, and it will be a surprise if he is allowed to run with President Muhammadu Buhari in 2027. So I am not surprised.
All right.
Yeah, gosh.
Not being surprised.